From MTN News, this is Montana This Morning.
Well, Montana is not keeping up with the nation in getting COVID vaccines. Which counties are best and worst in the state? That story's coming up.
A tragic explosion in Butte ends with a story of incredible loyalty involving a firefighter and his dog. I'll tell you it coming up.
Honoring America's fallen heroes. I'm Elise Preston with a look at how musicians across the country are answering the call from CBS's Steve Hartman for a special Memorial Day tribute.
Well, good morning, Southwest Montana. If you're getting an early start on the holiday weekend traveling today, sunny skies looks to be what will greet you. Chet Lehman, Holly Brantley here. Chet, how's it looking out there? It looks lovely.
Magnificent right now. 42 degrees here in tropical Four Corners. The sun's just starting to peek through. You saw it there on Community Hospital of Anaconda's look into the mining city. We're looking at a beautiful day today. Cooler temperatures for the next couple. Clear skies, satellite radar shows you that. That's keeping our temperatures a little on the chillier side. You can see there looking across the viewing area, temperatures in the 30s for the most part. Little cooler in West Yellowstone, some fog down there this morning, visibility down to a quarter of a mile. Some fog on Georgetown Lake up around that area as well. Out towards Garrison, some fog as well. But other than that, once that burns off, we're looking at a really, really nice kind of day with above average temperatures. Holly, I have the details of that, plus a look at your Memorial Day weekend forecast coming up in about 10 minutes.
Thank you, Chet. Now here's your headlines. Montana is behind the nation when it comes to COVID-19 vaccinations. 50% of the country is vaccinated so far, but according to the state's tracking map, Montana is at about 42%. MTN's Mitch Loggy brings us a look at the latest numbers.
As of Wednesday, Yellowstone County was lagging behind the state when it comes to the number of fully vaccinated people, clocking in at 40% compared to the state's 42%. However, the number of vaccinated people is helping keep the COVID-19 virus at bay in the county, according to Yellowstone County Health Officer John Felton.
Yeah, I don't think there's any doubt of that. The higher it goes, I think that baseline will actually drop lower than it currently is. For the last 3 months, we've been at essentially the same level of cases. We've been at essentially the same level of hospitalizations. Deaths have slowed down blessedly. But I think this is kind of what our baseline is going to be.
Yellowstone County isn't quite in the top 5 of Montana counties with the most fully vaccinated people. As of Wednesday, the top counties were Missoula at 54%, followed by Deer Lodge, Silverbow, Lewis and Clark, and Lake counties. On the flip side, counties at the bottom of the list for fully vaccinated people are Garfield at 21%, followed by Powder River, Webo, Macomb, and Carter counties. Felton encouraged more people to get vaccinated. He said more of the world opens back up for a person after they've had their shot.
We're about to finish school, but school is going to start again before we know it. People are going to want to go on vacation. There are some places that make it a little more difficult if people aren't vaccinated. So it really is a very safe and effective way to really get a much more sense of comfort of being out and about.
Felton said there are probably 3 groups of people when it comes to vaccinations. Receptive people who have likely already had their shot, hesitant people who are on the fence about one thing or another, and resistant people who will likely take more convincing to get their shot.
So our focus really now is how can we get to that vaccine hesitant population, educate them, help them feel more comfortable, make it easier to get vaccinated. They're very safe, they're very effective. So I'm hopeful that people just get a little more comfort with it.
The community vaccination site at the Shrine Auditorium in Billings will close at the end of the month. Riverstone has shifted vaccine efforts to smaller outreach clinics at businesses, churches, and schools. To schedule a free outreach clinic, call Riverstone at 406-651-6410. In Billings, Mitch Laggy, MTN News.
Well, herd immunity, a term you've probably heard a few times as we navigate further into this pandemic. It's when a large portion of a population becomes immune to a disease, making the spread of the disease unlikely. Gallatin County currently has 47% of its population fully vaccinated, but is that enough to achieve herd immunity? Our Annie Johnson spoke with Health Officer Matt Kelly for that answer.
We don't know that number exactly, and that number is likely going up because of the presence of the variant strains that seem to be more transmissible. Early on in the pandemic, we thought 70%, 80% would do the trick, and it might be now that that number has climbed significantly higher.
Kelly also said to achieve herd immunity, efforts would have to be nationwide, not just individual counties. Well, as companies start requiring workers to be vaccinated, some are wondering whether it's legal for companies to ask about vaccination status. Some are citing HIPAA, which protects personal health information from being shared by a health provider. But workplace legal experts we spoke with say that's not really something that can be applied in this case.
It's not going to protect or prevent an employer from asking you, because an employer is not being defined as what's called a covered entity under HIPAA, which is, like I said, usually a healthcare provider or like an insurance provider.
Now, the only way this really could be considered a HIPAA violation is if your boss or company called up your doctor and asked about your vaccination status and your doctor shared it. Generally, there is nothing stopping companies or employers from asking you about your vaccinations, but it is possible that individual state laws say otherwise. Meantime, the Society for Human Resources.
What we've advised employers in that situation is then just to treat the employee as unvaccinated with respect to safety policies.
Now, there are also questions about whether employers should require proof of vaccinations. Just this past December, the Equal Opportunity Commission concluded that no federal laws would be violated if an employer asked for proof. Meantime, a statue of a dog was unveiled yesterday at Margaret Leary Elementary in Butte. It is part of a memorial dedicated to the memory of firefighters killed in a 1895 explosion. MTN's John Amy explains what it's about.
A class at Margaret Leary Elementary in Butte unveiled the statue of a dog that's become part of Butte's rich folklore that was born of a tragic explosion that killed more than a dozen firefighters 125 years ago. The unnamed black dog belonged to Butte firefighter William Copeland, who died in the 1895 Kenyon Connell warehouse explosion. The dog survived and stayed by his master's side, even in death. The students of Mrs. Robinson's 5th grade class finally gave the dog a name, which is the Irish word for loyal, Delise.
Well, I was one of the few that cried, so that was a pretty big part, and it was a very sad story. Since dogs are man's best friend, so it's just really sad to see him and like Delise with his owner and sticking through every hardship.
The story goes that the dog stayed with his master after he was killed in the explosion, followed him in his funeral procession, and stayed at his grave at Mount Moriah Cemetery, where the dog soon died.
This dog just showed his loyalty and his faithfulness to the master, and you can't beat that. So we thought that had to be incorporated into the story because it's a real big part of the whole tragic story.
Well, Delise is certainly living up to his name for loyalty. And Mrs. Robinson says she wants this poor dog's story to be a lesson to kids today.
Just to be loyal and to always be there for someone when they need help. Oh God, I don't know why I'm crying. Okay. Yeah, just being the best versions of themselves and stuff.
The statue will be part of the memorial outside Butte's Uptown Fire Station. In Butte, John Amy, MTN News.
Loyalty, what a message there. Well, 13 firefighters and 44 others were killed in the January 15th, 1895 explosion. It was at a warehouse in Uptown Butte. It's said the massive explosion was heard as far away as Willow Creek. Well, 6:39 now. In just a few days, people across the country will honor America's fallen on Memorial Day. Last year, CBS's Steve Hartman asked musicians to play taps at 3 o'clock sharp, and it became one of the largest musical performances of all time. As CBS's Elise Preston explains, Hartman hopes taps across America will become a national tradition.
This is what Memorial Day sounded like last year for tens of thousands of buglers and trumpeters. With Memorial Day parades and ceremonies canceled because of the pandemic, they honored America's patriots by playing taps. From coast to coast, musicians of all skill levels answered the call from CBS's Steve Hartman and Taps for Veterans' Yari Villanueva. Together, they created Taps Across America.
I was not surprised. I was blown away that everybody felt as I did, that this is what America needed right now.
The idea came from a story Hartman did 9 years ago with Don Britton from Tacoma, Washington. He played taps every day at sunset to honor America's veterans.
I'm in another zone when I'm playing. I'm not aware of anything but the fact that I'm playing this, and I'm trying to play it as best as I can, do a good job.
What about that story resonated with you years later?
What struck me most about that story was not just the playing of the taps, but when the neighbors came out and stood on their balconies, on their porch, and it blew me away. It brought me to tears in the moment.
A moment so moving, he wants all Americans to experience it.
Even if they don't remember I was a journalist, if they remember I had anything to do with starting Taps Across America, that's fine with me. Life well served.
Once again, he's asking musicians to sound those 24 notes Monday afternoon, so those who hear taps will stop and remember America's fallen. Elise Preston, CBS News, New York.
Can't help but be moved by that. Now, Steve Hartman is asking buglers, trumpeters, and really anyone to join what he hopes will become a national tradition of playing taps at 3 o'clock sharp, local time on Memorial Day. Well, coming up here on Montana This Morning, the mother of a police officer who died in the January 6th attack on the Capitol has some harsh words for senators. What she's saying is coming up, but first, here's a look at what's coming up at 7 on CBS This Morning.
Good morning to you. Ahead on CBS This Morning, we're in San Jose this morning as investigators tried to determine why a transit worker killed 9 co-workers. We've got the latest from the scene and new details about the victims. Plus, Enrique Acevedo talks with the mayor of Miami. He's hoping to transform the spring break destination to the next Silicon Valley. Can he do it? And from one band leader to another, only on CBS This Morning. I like it so much, I'm going to say it again. Only on CBS This Morning, because I like when that happens. John Batiste will speak with the Late Late Show's Reggie Watts about his new projects. They'll also compare notes on leading a talk show band. Who does it best? You decide. We'll see you at 7 o'clock straight up.